What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information for you, but before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. And today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch. We have the NPD sales going down. We've got numbers debunking a few things when it comes to the Xbox Series S and what was going on there compared to the Nintendo Switch, with that one article that came about saying that the Xbox Series S was like the best selling for Black Friday or whatever the case is. Well, that's been debunked with this. We're also going to talk Metroid Dread. Did the game flop? Probably not. No, it didn't. But anyway, we're going to talk about that too, just because I had a number of you guys tagging me on Twitter when it comes down to it. And of course, good friend of the channel, RGT85, made a video, of course, saying that the game is not selling anymore and all of that. So yeah, very interesting, but we'll break it down and we'll actually get some people with knowledge of the numbers, or at least exactly where they could or could not be at, because there's no digital sales with this guy. So you also have to factor that in, and we don't have worldwide sales. This is just the US NPD numbers here. So let's talk about it. So today, Nintendo announced that the combined sales of the Nintendo Switch here in the United States last month reached 1.13 million units. It was the best-selling console of the month, the company confirmed. This information is based on the latest data compiled by the NPD group. Nintendo also announced that during the holiday shopping week of Thanksgiving, which includes Black Friday, Switch was the top-selling video game console. The system sold nearly 550,000 units during that period, and that's where I stated that the information with the Xbox Series S was debunked, because people were saying because some of like Adobe, I forgot what it was exactly, I covered it on my live streams, but people were saying that since it got the most clicks when it comes to the Xbox Series S, that somehow it sold the best during Black Friday, when there was no actual raw numbers confirming that. And I thought that was also weird, because I clicked on the Xbox Series S, so it tracked my click as well, but I didn't buy one. So I don't understand why that story was being pushed out there. But either way, the Switch was the best-selling console during the Black Friday period with 550,000 units plus. Now, the Nintendo Switch has also been the top-selling video game console for 35 out of the last 36 months, according to Nintendo. Here's what Doug Bowser had to say in a prepared statement. With a wide-ranging library of games and 3 options to choose from between Nintendo Switch Lite, and Nintendo Switch OLED model, the Nintendo Switch family of systems offers something for everyone this holiday season. As we head into 2022 and the 6th year of the Nintendo Switch, the system continues to see strong demand. We look forward to even more people adding Nintendo Switch to their households. So standard PR statement from the corporate dude, Mr. Doug Bowser, Nintendo of America president. But let's get into some of these other positional ranking charts and everything here, because that's where everyone wants to talk about when it comes to the Nintendo charts, and also with the top 20 charts overall. With what's going on, essentially the charts weren't anything like crazy. It was all what you would expect when it comes to the overall top 20 charts. Although Shin Megami Tensei 5 had its highest dollar sale launch ever in the history of the SMT franchise, which makes sense because the game was $60 at launch compared to the $40 and $50 of the previous entries in the series. So that makes sense, and there was a lot of advertising for the game. So that's good stuff for SMT, and I think that game will continue to sell well, as it's already getting some discounts, and they're aggressively pricing it when it comes to Amazon and GameStop, getting it for like 40 bucks and maybe even a little bit below that. So good stuff there for Shin Megami Tensei 5. But I do want to talk about Metroid Dread, because on the Nintendo platforms, pretty much what you got here is you have Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Mario Party Superstars, Mario Kart 8, Just Dance, Animal Crossing. SMT5 was new in at number 6. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, New Super Mario Bros., Mario Kart Live Home Circuit. Digital sales, once again, aren't included here when it comes to the NPD sales with Nintendo games, and that's where some people are like, oh, that's where it's not selling because it's not there. But we do have some more information from Matt Piscatella. And of course, just bear with me here, guys, as I break everything down and kind of get to the end point. So Matt Piscatella, who's an NPD analyst, where most people reference to get all these positional charts and everything like that, he actually spoke a bit more on Metroid Dread sales, and this is what he had to say on Twitter. Quote, "So yep, Metroid Dread did just fine in month 2 for those wondering. Number 11 on the Nintendo charts after a huge month 1, and in the mix with a bunch of massive Nintendo evergreen titles, some that were even price promoted. deep breath, Metroid fans, Dread is doing well. So this is someone that actually has access to the numbers and can see them. However, there is a NDA, non-disclosure agreement, to where you can't actually say the numbers of any of these games. So there is an NDA. It's not like the Famitsu sales or like the media create from Japan when it comes to the numbers where we get them. The NPD, you just can't say the numbers. It's an NDA, and if you do, you're going to be in trouble because you've signed that NDA when you sign up to get these numbers. You can only say positional charts and everything because there isn't digital attached to it. So I understand from that standpoint. But just like Matt Piscatella does say here, Metroid Dread is doing just fine. Now, in my own tracking of the game, from what I'm seeing from retail sources that I do have, it seems to be doing just fine as well. It's still in the top 10 when it comes to Amazon. It's still in the top 20 or so when it comes to the yearly Amazon charts and everything. From what I understand from GameStop, although they probably don't push as many units out there, it's still doing well there too. So I don't really think there's any cause for concern at this point. It's selling right about what you'd expect for a Metroid game that's on the Nintendo Switch to sell. From what I understand, it's tracking higher than a lot of games that sold 3 million units in its first year. So games like Paper Mario, the Origami King, for example. Also games like Fire Emblem, Three Houses, Clubhouse games, ARMS, 1-2 Switch. All of these games that are right around that same in terms of sales level. Not quality, but sales level. Metroid Dread seems to be doing better than that. And we still have the rest of the holiday to go with Christmas coming up. I'm not exactly sure why people were expecting Metroid Dread or thinking Metroid Dread was going to sell like 3+ million copies in like a month or two. That's not it. I still feel that maybe next year sometime we'll hear about it selling 3 million units unless it has like a huge December. But I'm kind of tracking it on the same way that I track Fire Emblem Three Houses, which pretty much went through the same thing as Metroid. When it comes to the Japanese sales, Fire Emblem Three Houses actually didn't sell that much more than Metroid Dread in Japan at launch or shortly afterwards. And here in the US, Metroid Dread definitely sold considerably better than what Fire Emblem Three Houses did. And Fire Emblem Three Houses sold over 3 million units. So from my own tracking and from what I'm seeing so far here, it definitely seems like Metroid Dread is tracking a lot better, or a bit better than what Fire Emblem Three Houses did. And we still have the rest of December, of course, to go, and all the way to next year. So I think everything's just fine for the most part when it comes down to it, based on what Matt Piscatella had to say here, and based on it being number 11 on the charts as well. And like I said, there was a lot of evergreen games in there. A lot of the evergreen games, those games are usually going to take the top spots when it comes to the NPD and everything. But I still think that Metroid Dread is a fantastic game, of course, and there's a demo on there, and more people definitely need to go out there and pick it up, which I think will happen. Now, I do want to circle back over to the Nintendo Switch when it comes to the sales of the system. Once again, the top selling one, but every single system manufacturer is being hit with this chip shortage. Like, it's pretty bad from what I understand. Even Nintendo Switch sold less this November than it did last November. So year on year, it was down, and they had a new model. So that just goes to show you that they just have less systems out there. There are people who want a Nintendo Switch OLED and can't get one. Obviously, with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series, the fact that those systems combined, from what I understand, I think Daniel Ahmed, he actually talked about this, that the Xbox series of systems and PS5 combined barely equaled what the Nintendo Switch did. Yet the demand for those systems are definitely higher. So the industry is definitely suffering a little bit because of the chip shortage. It's causing issues across the board, from the Nintendo Switch OLED all the way to the Xbox series of systems, PlayStation 5. It's just not good at this point. So very understandable when it comes to it, but at the same time, I think that all the manufacturers just need to do the best that they can and just try to increase supply, do whatever they can to increase supply, because things are going to get pretty crazy heading into Christmas here, as desperate parents and of course gamers out there want to pick up a new system, for themselves or for family or for friends, or whatever the case is. So very interesting nonetheless. And I also want to give a quick shout out to SMT5 as well, because SMT5 highest sales when it comes to launch dollar month. So SMT5 number 16 on the charts, number 6 when it comes to the Switch chart. So it's good to see that SMT5 is getting some love. I don't expect SMT5 to be like a huge, massive, like multi-million seller. I think that it's going to be the best selling SMT game when it comes to the franchise. Yes, it'll be the best-selling SMT game in franchise history, but I don't expect it to be anything super crazy. But that's really good for a hardcore JRPG like SMT, in my opinion, that doesn't have quite the appeal of the other bigger RPGs out there. So happy for SMT. Make sure you guys go check out the game. It's absolutely incredible. I have my reviews on the channel. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time. So that wraps it up for the Nintendo Switch sales and everything with Metroid Dread, SMT, the Switch Black Friday and everything. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. We've got an RPG that we haven't heard about for quite some time actually make another resurgence, because it seems like this game has been kind of fading in and out for like the past 4 to 5 years. I don't know how long, but it's been a while. But yes, Grandblue Fantasy Relink. We've got some information on this game. We got a brand new trailer, and we got a new version of the game. PC's coming into the mix. It's coming out 2022. I'm actually really excited about this RPG. From the last footage they showed us like a year ago or whatever, it looked amazing. And now it even looks better. And of course, it's going to add the PC, so that's also really cool for PC gamers out there. So Grandblue Fantasy Relink will be available for the PC via Steam, alongside its previously announced PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 versions when it launches in 2022, publisher Cygames and developer Cygames Osaka announced. Now, there's various different details in terms of what you can do when it comes to it, and I do want to talk about this one right here, and that's the game modes in the game, because we have this new quest mode with multiplayer, and that seems pretty cool too. So Grandblue Fantasy Relink is an action RPG that features 2 game modes. You have the main story single player, discover what is happening to the Zengarande Skydom, and I probably said that wrong, in this exciting narrative-driven single-player adventure. A new chapter of the Grandblue Fantasy unfolds in the skies. Customize and develop characters, collect treasure, and so much more. With easy, normal, and hard difficulties to choose from, Grandblue Fantasy Relink accommodates players of all playstyles. Then you also have quests, which is single player and multiplayer. Progress through the main story to unlock new content, which supports up to 4-player online co-op. Utilize the items and experience you've obtained over the course of your journey to tackle an array of challenging battles. Visit a town's online lobby to chat and interact with other Skyfarers. Quests can be done solo with the aid of CPU-controlled allies, and I really wanted to focus in on that because that is super cool. Sometimes when you play some of these RPGs that are also online that have like a co-op mode in there, they make it to where like you can only get certain stuff in there and you have to play online to get that. So if you're someone who doesn't want to pay for PS Plus or whatever to play online, and you're on the PlayStation brand, you're like, you have to get that done in order to get certain things. But this one, they say, hey, you can play that same content, but you can just use CPUs in there and still get that stuff. So I love that about this game. And like I stated, the game looks absolutely incredible from the new trailer here. They have a ton of information on the different characters that you can choose, a bunch of new screenshots. There's a lot of good stuff here. They describe the world and what you can do. The game has been a long time coming, and it's been a while since they announced this game. And even Platinum Games was involved at some point, and then that didn't go right. So definitely this game is a long time coming, but I feel that it's going to be worth it. It looks like a high quality JRPG release, and it looks like a game that's definitely going to see if it can one-up games like Tales of Arise and Scarlet Nexus that came out this year, but next year. Now, we don't have an actual date within 2022. We just know that it's 2022, and it's launching in such a packed year with games like God of War and also The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. There's Elden Ring. I mean, there are a ton of great games coming out next year, games that people are at least anticipating quite a bit next year. Horizon Forbidden West. So there are big games, there are huge RPGs, huge action adventure games, open world games. So it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of navigate all these different games that are coming out and pretty much have no time to do anything else. So what are your thoughts when it comes to all the things that we talked about here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate that. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you for the next video. Peace.